Okie dokie. All right, so I guys, haha, I often say good night. Wow, good evening, guys. Thank you for flopping on the sofa with us today. And we have a returning guest. I am still going to allow her to introduce herself for those that may not know her or familiar with her. For me personally, I think she's becoming such a star on one of the social media platforms. She might not believe it, but she has great insight on a lot of things. But if you don't mind, give us a moment. We're going to jump in after the intro with the topic today, which is what are some dangers of fathering multiple kids with different partners? We will see you guys in just a little bit. Go ahead and start sharing. Woohoo! So we are back, guys. Again, thank you for tuning in to another wonderful episode of the Sofa Real Talk here on Facebook and YouTube. And if you happen to be watching it on YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet, shame on you. Um, I'm gonna send my kids to your house wherever you stay for them to aggravate you, and maybe you'll go ahead and subscribe because they can be very aggravating. You probably send them back too, but tonight, I do have a guest on, and Miss Kate. If you can go ahead and introduce yourself yet again so that the lovely viewers can know who you are.
Will do. Hello, everybody. My name is Kiana Daniels. I'm super excited to be here. I'm an author, blogger, TikToker, and I'm just excited to chat and, see what we come up with. So, welcome to the stream, everybody, and I'm excited to be here.
And we have the lovely Dr. Torri. I've been waiting, anticipating, and like when you hit me up, man, I was like,
Oh gosh. How are you? Oh,
I am great. And if you don't mind, I was giving the floor for the guests to introduce themselves. And so go right ahead.
well, I am Dr. Tori J. I'm the founder and CEO of the Fatherless Generation Foundation, and I do Beyond Fatherless coaching. And I am actually, I ain't going to say exactly where I am, but I am not in the United States. And so sorry, it is actually 2 a.m. for me where I am. So I had to jump up and go, oh, wait, okay. So I am tired, but I'm here.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it. And like I was saying earlier about Facebook can be a little iffy with us sharing, and they don't like me.
Oh,
Oh, no.
he said that, and he's right. Facebook algorithms are special.
Good grief.
See, look at that. As soon as he was saying that,
I know. So hopefully he'll be joining us back
he'll
in
be back
a
in a
second.
moment. And now I'm the only one here. Oh, come on.
I'm literally like not touching anything. I'm just sitting
I
here.
told you. I told you they don't like me.
As soon as you said that,
They do
you were
not like
gone.
me. They
Yes.
do not like me. They do not like me. That's the funniest thing ever. That's never happened. That's never happened before. But okay. So Dr. Torri. So what I was saying that today I different shows I do not platforms, but PowerPoints. And this is one of the shows that I'm not because I knew I was having you two on. And I really because I love you guys point of view and how you respond to questions when it comes to parenting and the aspect of fatherhood. I really just want to ask the question to each of you and see, you know, what is it, how you see it? Where is it a danger when it comes to fathering multiple?
Mm.
And it doesn't matter who goes first.
Can you give us the question one more time? Your mic kind of cut out.
Are you able to hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Can you? Okay. All right. I have to get close to the mic. You know, I ain't gonna start singing like Barry. You know. Let's start. And so, what are some dangers of fathering multiple kids with different partners?
You want to go first, Dr. Torri? How we want to do this?
I'm gonna let you go. You go because I'm okay. Because I came second, so I'm gonna let you go. I'm like, ooh, I forgot this is what the topic was, and as soon I was like, ooh, wait a minute. So you go ahead.
This is a good one. I think there are multiple dangers. I think in terms of just being able to provide, protect, teach, nurture
Okay.
across multiple households. Once you do that with multiple people, you kind of put yourself in a tight spot, especially if you do want to be an involved parent. So I guess, looking at it through a different, two different lenses. If you're going to father multiple children with multiple partners, are you an involved father or are you a not involved father? Because
Okay.
both of them have kind of some consequences. So if you're an involved father, so okay, I'll throw out like Nick Cannon, for example. Like we know that
I was waiting for
he's an
that name to
involved
pop up.
father. He's an involved father.
I was waiting for that name to pop up.
He got money. He got all these kids, all these different mamas. Some of the mamas, he has multiple kids by, and along with that, he has a career, he has lupus.
Right.
So there's like a lot going on for him. So I can imagine that there are times when he is unable to attend events or unable to be there to discipline, unable to be there to teach, and all the load is placed on the mom. So although like, people kind of give him kudos because he does have the money and sometimes it seems like he's well intentioned because he's a good father. You're kind of spreading yourself
Right.
thin. And then how are your kids fostering relationships with one another if they're all growing up in different households and having different experiences, right? So then if you're the father who is not involved and you have multiple children by multiple partners, you're just absent from the whole scenario. Your kids
Yeah.
don't know each other. They're not getting to experience you. You're not parenting. You're not your presence is not there. I think both are dangerous, honestly. I don't, an involved father, definitely. We want that. But I also think when you have so many kids, you just make it difficult to be able to, parent from a good place is my thought. So I think both are dangerous. But of course, we want fathers who are there for their kids. So, I mean, there's so many ways we can look at this scenario. So, yeah, those are my initial thoughts.
You brought up Nick Cannon.
I would have been very hurt if that name hadn't come up at all in this whole conversation.
He's like the most
And
relevant one we know.
You hit it immediately.
Not for picking reasons, but for right now, he really stands out when it comes to that whole situation.
He does. He's like the most relevant one right now because I mean there are
Yeah,
others, in the celebrity world who do the same thing. So
right.
And I don't want to
So,
and I
Doc.
don't want to like Nick Cannon bothers me because we always make it about the fact that he has money and so he's
Mhm.
involved. But then that
Mm-hmm.
what that does is that equates a father to a paycheck, which means that's child support. And that's not what a
Mm-hmm.
father is. A father is someone who a child has access to, being typically we would prefer, and the children prefer to be raised in the home with that father where they can glean from him. I can tell you the times that I got the most from my father was when we were sitting in a room and didn't say anything. And because I hadn't met him until I was 31 years old, sitting in a room with him felt like fire on my skin. And I was like, stranger danger, I want to get out of here. But after the fact, I learned that that was the time that my body, my DNA was connecting with him in the room, developing me in ways that I didn't even know. And so there is something about being raised in the home with a father that we can't get when we're outside the home. And while you were talking, I don't even know your name because I jumped in and I don't see the names on the screen. But while
Kiana.
you were talking, I said, let me just Google this. Let me Google studies because I like to look up studies. And it says a study found that 61% of men who fathered children with multiple women had served some time in jail compared with 28% of men who fathered children with only one woman. So
Mm.
that tells me something. You're spending jail time when you have children with multiple women. That's a scary thing, especially for Black men. Black men ain't trying to go to jail. And they definitely like,
Right.
we don't want to see a courtroom. And so and there were multiple things, but that was the one that was like, that jumped out immediately. And that is a scary thing. That's one of the disadvantages. When it comes to Nick Cannon, we don't know when he's going to stop. I think he's on number 13.
Yeah, something
Yes.
like that.
And
I,
and now the women are starting to tell stories about the competition amongst the women. This
Mhm.
is not a good situation. And I even did a podcast on this. I did,
yes. Yes.
because is this polyamory or is this polygamy? And I had a professor from Morehouse College who studied polyamory and also lives that life. And he said this is actually called polysaturated because you cannot sustain this and
Right.
actually have relationship with the women or the children
That's
equally.
what I thought. I thought I was
Not
crazy.
possible.
And I was like, how can you? I get it. It's a wonderful dream for a lot of people. A lot of
I don't know
dream
if
for me.
anybody's actually dreaming that now. I don't.
Multiple
I'm
kids
just
with all these
you
women.
be very surprised.
Okay.
You be very surprised. I can't do it. I'm not saying that my mental capacity is not made for
Mhm.
The drama.
yeah. And um did you have any other the some more to finish?
Mm-mm.
So Kiana, like me, like I said at the very beginning, I get to throw myself up under the bus. I am that father that has kids with both multiple partners. I have four. Is there any other? Is there any other way to say baby mothers?
The mother of
Sugar
my
mother.
children.
Yeah.
Mother of my kids. Yes, I have. It's just like that can be so toxic at times, baby mother, baby daddy. Um, I'm suffering. Um, it's hard for me. It's been hard for me. I started at a young age. I was 17 when I had my son, and I think out of all my kids, my relationship with him is probably the far worst. Um, I was here even told recently that he feels that I come off as being God. Um, and for me, that's he sees me when I tell him things that, hey, you maybe want to think twice about that. And it's not even in a forceful manner or whatnot. Um, my child, I see my son as going down the same road that I went down, totally different how he's responding to it. He's had different outcomes, same road though. I had to come to the realization that my son is a times you have to let people bump their head more than anything. And I don't want to see that, but he is that person to where um regardless of what you're saying, Dad, is a good thing,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I have to prove you wrong. He doesn't admit it, but all action shows that if I can prove my dad wrong, then I win, which I don't understand that. I really don't get it, and I don't know what outcome will that bring. Um, I do hate that he lost his mom at an early age.
Mm.
Um, that's with that's the danger I feel is part of that he really didn't like grieve properly with that. I was in a bad marriage at the time, and so there's a lot of stuff going on with that. But I do know the dangers. Um, balancing, like how Doc was saying, that trying to juggle, because if they're not in the same household, you have to take time out to go over here to this house, to go over to that house, or to try and bring them all together, or kind of going back to the relationships. I can't see how you have multiple girlfriends and you're having to delegate time for each one of them and one not get jealous. I kind of see that with the kids too, when definitely they're not in the household, let alone if they are in the household, sometimes some kids still feel left out. So I am that person, that one of the men that we are talking about tonight, and this touched home with me so bad, because not only do I have my son, I have my two middle kids, whereas I didn't educate myself as a father, and any fathers that are listening, married a time out to understand what the laws are when it comes to men and their kids. And I don't vindictive. I mean that in the sense of just knowing your rights. Because as much as a man can be vindictive towards a woman and her kids, a woman can be the same. And that's kind of like what was introduced to me, definitely with my middle two kids, where now as an adult, my kids are still kind of iffy with trying to talk to me because they're still worrying about if they're going to get chastised by their mom, or if their mom's going to cut them off because for whatever reason their mom does not like me. And um one child I left,
Mm.
and I can only say it was on purpose. There's nothing else that I can say other than I was childish at the moment. It was my daughter after my oldest son, um, and we got back together, father and daughter, probably by 16, and we got a relationship. But I think out of all the parents, and her mom, I thought was probably one of the best parents out of um, everyone that I had kids with. But later on in life, I realized that there were some downfalls on that too as well. And so now we have a bad relationship after getting back into her life. Last child from my ex-wife, which I made bad decisions, um, that put me in a position to where now I can't talk to him. And probably that's the only child as of right now that I have, even though I can't see him, I have the best relationship with. And I was able to be in his life in a positive way. So I wanted to make this episode so that fathers can understand that just like the kids, it can be a very taxing job on you as well by being careless and, going around and just sticking your part into everything that moves, and not saying anything bad about women in that sense, but I'm just saying because that's how we as men kind of feel like we can just go and have fun, and leave. And I pride myself on now more than anything changing the narratives on how men look at the fact that, believe it or not, we have a lot of um we're more, I'm not going to say more, but we have a high percentage of the reason why a lot of kids, let alone women, are hurt now, and not taking any of the what's the word I'm looking for, not making any excuse to women that, bash men. But as we know, especially on TikTok, we're going through this era of black men bashing black women and whatnot.
Yeah.
But on it's off the subject. Doc, in your field of expertise, what do you find more coming your way when it comes to fathers and their kids? Like, what are the main topics you come across?
Access. Men don't have access to their children because they don't know the laws. And when you don't know the laws, especially if you come from one state and you move to another state, in your head, you're still thinking it's the same.
Right.
And a lot of men don't realize that when you have children out of wedlock, you have zero rights to your children in
Mm,
majority of the states around the country. And so in Georgia, where I'm headquarters, but I work in 33 different states, Georgia has what is called legitimation, and men detest legitimation. And I'm like, why? Because in other states, you've got to go through two separate courts, custody, establishing parental rights, and all this other stuff. And Georgia actually makes it a one-stop shop. It covers legitimation. And I know people say because it's an antiquated law and it's against Black men, it's intended like it has its biases and its racial um,
yeah.
tones within the legislation. We have a problem with that. Until we deal with the issue of men having children and in relationships out of wedlock, we can't really. How do you embrace this idea that you're just going to give full access to every man who has a child and he doesn't go through some type of process to get that? I don't know. That becomes complicated for me. But I think you said something that I was thinking even, and I wrote it down when you were talking about your story, that when you have children with multiple women, guess what happens? You lose access. You either are more likely to be alienated, as we call it in the shared parenting world that I do a lot of legislation with, alienated or lack access to your children.
Yes.
Um, when you have multiple children with multiple partners, that could be because of your own selfish decisions as you, so, you took that accountability and that responsibility and
Yep.
admit that, and or the woman is going to be spiteful and resentful and bitter, or it's her journey, and because you didn't do what you were supposed to do, and now she's protecting her children
Right.
from you in the process. And I know we don't want to call them her children, but at that moment they are, because you abandoned them and you
Yes.
walked away and you admitted that you left one and you have that relationship with them. And I think that's, I get calls like that where men are like, you know what, I was 21, I was 22, and I made a bad decision. And here's my problem with my sisters. We made a lot of bad decisions. Probably one of them was laying down with some of the men we have children with.
Right.
There comes a point where we have to let the men who realize they made a bad decision rectify that bad decision. And we're like, he ain't come back over here.
Yeah.
No, he made the, and it's like, I can admit that my brothers have made bad decisions. I can admit that my brothers are off and wrong and they have done some terrible things to their sisters. But here's the thing. One bad decision should not determine the rest of his life and his destiny. He should be able to recover and recoup and repent and get it right. And there's a process to that too, right? I don't,
Right.
I don't slap people together. Like, my work is reunification. I've reunited 8,389 fatherless children with their
Wow.
dads. And
Wow.
so it is a holistic approach. It is a four-phase process. I don't just slap you together and keep it moving.
Yeah.
I need to know who you are as a man. I need to see how you're moving. I need to hear how you're talking. And the crazier you talk, the slower your process is.
But I like that. And I was just going to say it does have to come armed with the hey, you just can't jump right in.
Mm-mm.
And I know a lot of men sometimes want that response to just buckle and go back in the same cycle. So I do like that.
No, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Jump right in. Kids don't know you. Stranger danger. Like they don't know you. I was 31 feeling that way. Like you love me. Oh, okay.
So with that being said, I Miss K, before I ask you a question, Doc, with that last part,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think that was like one of the issues that I had with my daughter.
Mm.
Because once I reached out and the mom, she was like, okay, I'm gonna give her the option. If she wants to meet you, fine. If not, you're just gonna have to respect she don't want to see you. And okay, cool. So we did, and it was almost like there was never a moment that we were not together. I mean, it just boom, it just clicked. And so we were like talking every day on the phone. Um, a lot of it was at the very beginning, her asking me questions, and so she was listening. And so her mom took that as in I was being controlling and just talking her head off. And I shouldn't um that's not how I get to know who my daughter is, by talking to her every day. I need to and so she was pushing it to where I can only see her once a week to start off. And I don't know, I just, for me, um at the end, I really found out what the situation was. Not trying to say that wasn't a rush thing, but I found out that after she moved out of the house, when she became an adult, her mom kind of felt as though I had interrupted their, because she was the only daughter at the time.
Yeah.
And so she thought I had come in and just basically changed their relationship, because how my daughter was acting towards me, she was kind of acting. That's how I can see that, because even though she had a stepdad, she had kind of cut ties with her stepdad for whatever reasons, and it was almost just like mom in the picture, and so all the attention was at mom. So I don't know. I just felt like that was is that is that like unusual for that to pop off and be okay?
What, that you guys just jump in?
Uh-huh.
It depends, but for me, because of the work that I do, and I don't want to be responsible for something that's dangerous, and I
Yes.
want the fathers to grow themselves. That's why it's holistic. There's therapists and coaches along the way, to bring you up to the level of fatherhood so that you can be who you need to be, not only for your children but also for yourself. Because sidebar before I answer, too many parents, or let me say it this way, too many people have become parents before they healed their childhood trauma, and so
Mm.
you didn't have the ability to heal. So I'm giving you the opportunity to heal before you jump back into your child's life, because that's what causes the headbutting in the co-parenting situations. It's not the person, it's the triggers, and they're triggering your childhood trauma. And so I'm giving you an opportunity through the stuff we do to heal. It's not uncommon for people to jump in and to enjoy each other's company. Um, but you saw what happened. Mom gets jealous, mom gets upset because now you've come in. My mother is one of those people. I can't have a relationship with my mother at this phase. And it's just kind of crazy to me, because you raised me. You were the person who was there for me. I am like both you and my father. But if I talk about my father too much, she's like, oh, I didn't play a part. Oh, I was. And it's like,
Oh
I
wow.
am your girlfriend. Like, what are we talking about? And so I'm just over it. And it just became very toxic, especially after I reunited with my father. And moms get jealous because they were the ones who stayed. They were the ones who were around when you left. And so, why should you have a relationship with this man who walked away from us? She might have really wanted to embrace it initially, But in the process of things, sometimes you're like sitting in the background, just breathing deep, you know? And so that's probably a little bit of what you experienced. And your
Yeah.
daughter was getting the heat on the other side. She could tell her, see, mother say, I don't say anything bad about your father, but your
Yeah.
body language is crazy, girlfriend, when he show up or when I'm
She
talking to
did.
him.
She informed me of some of the heat that she got.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a yeah, I don't know. It's crazy and it's just amazing.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Miss K, I know that since you told your story about your situation and your daughter, you have responded to a lot of people with questions towards that story. Um, do you find yourself kind of defending yourself more than anything when it comes to how you handle the situation with your daughter and her father?
No, I don't feel a way about it. I've come to terms with, how things are. And I feel like one of my mission, especially, we connected on TikTok, is to just be transparent about my story. If I can just tell, one young lady or one young man to kind of think through the process as they're navigating relationships. And one thing that I've realized, recently on my quest to just learn how to love myself and heal, is that
Right.
a lot of the decisions I made were from a place of an unhealed person. So me choosing out of that, trauma that I experienced from my dad not being there, and, just kind of not loving myself and my self esteem being low, I found myself in situations that led me to kind of where I'm at now. So the reason I'm so vocal about, what I've gone through is because I want people to learn. And certainly I always have people saying, choose better. And that's one of the things that I'm like, I don't like that, because the choice has already been made. My daughter is 8. Like, critical think. Like, I can't go back in time to be like, you know what, I'm gonna give her a new father. Like, it doesn't work
Yeah.
that way. She's here. She gonna be 9 in a couple of months, But one thing that a lot of women do, so we might make a bad choice, and then we might end up in a relationship that is healthy and good for us, and have children and another partner that way. But that is a lot of the comments that I get are from that, like, you should have chose, and I firmly believe that I can accept accountability for how I chose back then, but I can also examine and explore the nuances that led to that choice, right?
Right.
And then on top of that, I don't believe that the single mom is responsible for everything. And I feel like that's a lot of what we see on social media is like, okay, well, you laid down and you chose and I always say this on my page is that parenting is a two-parent job or two-person job. It's not meant for one. So if I'm still here raising the child, he's supposed to be around too, but I can't force. So I
Right.
I come at it from a different angle. I had a good example in my mom, and with my dad, she was just like, oh, she was always encouraging me and my brother to call him and reach out and be open to developing that relationship. It was us who we were like, no. So just speaking about your situation with your kids, we were closed off for years. I was really closed off to my dad because I'm like, I don't have time for it. Like, I'm a very black and white person. I just started learning to deal in the gray and look at different nuances. But with my dad when I was younger, I'm like, no, you wasn't here, you didn't do the work, you didn't raise me, I don't want to talk to you, you know what I mean? But now that I'm older, I'm able to kind of see through the situation and, trying to understand who he is as a person and just accepting him for who he is. And I'm grateful for this process because I'll be able to walk my daughter through when it's her turn. So, certainly keeping the door open for any future relationship she'll have with her dad, because she does have one with him. It's not where I would desire it to be, but I do catch a little bit of hate on social media. It doesn't bother me, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you're sharing your story in a 15
It's a
second to
testimony.
3-minute video. People don't really know your scenario, and I feel I've
Right.
done a lot of work on myself in therapy and being able to just accept who I am as a person and accepting the situation and healing so that it doesn't really, I won't say it doesn't bother me, but I'm able to look at it through a different lens. So, yeah, I'm cool with it. I can take it. And I always just try to, use a lot of grace and wisdom and understanding when people are like coming at me in the comments and asking questions about it. Because a lot of people are like, you could put, I'm surprised you had it like that. You could pop off. Like, I don't want to do that. I'm here to really like be transparent and tell people like,
I
think
think a
before
lot
you
of
do
folks'
it, make
response
good
to
choices. Yeah.
situations are, not to interrupt you. I think a lot of people response to situations now more than anything is violence.
Yeah. I
It's
don't got
like
time for that.
me neither. I like it kills me. So Miss Allen says, this is a great discussion. I don't have that experience. My kid's father passed during our 8 year of marriage. He had um two outside kids and he went through some difficult issues with the mother of his kids. Miss Whitney says, Miss Ellis, have you heard mother say I was the one who stayed with your dad when your dad left? It's not fair for you to love him as much as you love me.
Mm.
That's
And
toxic.
that is what's going on with my middle
That is
two kids.
toxic.
My thing is, and I go back to what you were saying, Doctor, with Georgia, with legitimization. When I first had them, legitimization was something that you had to get. I think, isn't it an option now if you have a child without that you can sign a legitimization papers at the hospital, or did I hear that wrong?
That hasn't happened yet. We've tried to put that in the hospital a few times, and they were like, "No," because they don't want.
Oh,
I don't want
okay.
you to know.
Yeah, I thought that had changed. I heard about it and I thought it was
Maybe they're
something
moving
that
it.
was put in.
Maybe they're
Okay,
moving it
so
in your direction.
alrighty
That would
then.
be
You
great.
have corrected me.
But
I went to court and I got all my kids legitimized because if I'm finna pay child support and you can lock me up, I can at least get my kids legitimized and legitimately say that they're mine. But I again, I didn't know, guys. I didn't know the laws at that time, and I actually could have had custody of all of my kids, and I did want them. And my lawyer even said, "Hey, this is your time to go ahead and fight for custody." And the worst thing can happen is the judge just tell you, "Hey, you can't have custody of them, but I'm gonna give you visitation rights." I got custody of my son, my oldest child, and again, I wasn't in my second child life, but the last two, the ones that I felt like, well, I was raising them too until I got kicked out the house. Whole nother story. But long story short, once I got visitation rights, their mom purposely left the house. Um, I couldn't. Well, I'm not going to say I couldn't, but I was faced with my daughter telling me that, hey, dad, don't don't get mom in trouble by calling defects or reporting her because one, we have other sisters and brothers in the house, and we get put in the system because I didn't know. This is some good information that if you don't have rights over your kids and they do put your kids in the system, they're in the system and you got to fight the system to get your kids. Am I right?
absolutely, because you're an unwed father and you
And
don't have
I
the
did not
right.
know that.
Yeah, you don't have any rights.
So this is one of those dangers of having multiple kids with it's a danger in its sense, even with one parent, a child in California, child in New York, it's just really difficult. And this question for me makes me cringe. And because it still coincides with the main question. But why does it seem to be a hard thing when it comes to a woman saying that I don't want a man with multiple kids and multiple um, mothers, but I would need you or want you to come in and father my kids. that I may have multiple dads. So whichever one of y'all go
Hey,
first.
you have to jump in. I don't have that situation, so I don't.
You know
I don't
what?
know if you do, but
I got,
that's a hard one.
I got one child. And in my dating life, it is a lot easier to date men who don't have kids. You know what I mean? Like it really, really is, because some of these guys, they got the baby mamas. It's like drama. There's miscommunication. There's issues. So honestly, it just really is easier to do that. You don't have to deal with a lot of the ramifications. And so I do know single moms who are like, I don't date men with kids. And I didn't understand it at first, but as I started dating more, I'm like, oh, I get why y'all say that, because it's a lot there to unpack, especially when the situation is just not the co-parenting situation between the person you're dating and the person they have a child with is not on point. So it makes it hard. And it can be vice versa,
Right.
with men dating women who have, difficult co-parenting situations with the father of their kids. So I mean, everybody has different preferences and expectations. I try not to like get caught up with what people are saying that they want to do, because for people who may not have kids, it's like, well, you can't say that if you have kids that you don't want to date men with kids. Me personally, I will date men with kids, but the ones I've dated that did not have kids, yeah, it was a lot easier to navigate the relationships with them. It just is.
And just part of my transparency, I am married, and my husband has a daughter who will be 27 in like a month. And when I tell you it has been hell, like this ain't gonna make it. I because she is crazy, and she has made it very. Oh, daddy, I like her. But when he is not around, the stuff she does to me,
Mm.
and he doesn't believe it, and I don't have time anymore. I don't have children, and I'm 49, and I ain't got time to be wasted with somebody when I want my babies. I want to have children, and so I don't want a man who has children. And if you got multiples, we can't do that, boo, because I've already dealt with one woman and her child, and I'm not doing multiples. It's just
Right.
that, no, I'm a good woman, and I'm a good wife. I'm a great wife, and I
Yeah.
just can't do it
You know,
because you guys have an issue with order.
right.
We've seen this on social media a lot. Who comes first, the wife, the daughter, the baby mama, or the mama? And
Mm.
I'm battling all of that, because when you
Mm.
create situations out of order, you live in disorder, and I don't live that way.
So true. And it's a lot of baby moms. Like, I can tell you right now, I don't really care, you know what I mean, what my daughter's father does. Like, I'm the baby mama. I don't want no problems. Like, don't bother me. We talk about the child, and that's it. Like,
Right.
we ain't got to talk about nothing else. If it doesn't pertain to the child, we don't have to talk. But I know a lot of women who, they do have that like controlling nature about them. They want to make things difficult. And I mean, that's another like pain point there. Sometimes, and I'm not justifying it. I'm just kind of illuminating what a lot of women think is like, he put me through hell.
Yeah.
He was abusing me, or he was, mistreating me. He was manipulating and gaslighting me. So, now that I'm on the other side of that and I have this child, I am going to then return all that hell back to him because he inflicted so much pain. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just trying to say what a lot of women do, because, they go through hurtful situations, and so then they manipulate through the children.
Yeah.
And so I get what people say when there's like, choose better. I get what you're saying. But when you're in a situation, you might be trying to make the best of it. And I say that about my situation. I try my best to make the best of it, but I can't control the other party. So what
Right.
I've learned to do is, look, this is what I can do. This is what I'm offering. If it's going to be any level of disrespect, any level of, like bringing me things that don't add peace to my life, it's going to be any chaos with you, I'm going to disengage. So when you're ready to talk to me like we're two adults and we can come to a consensus, then we can talk. If not, then I won't talk to you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm at a level, and I had to work to get here, because one thing you also find, and I talk to a lot of younger mothers about this, is when you have multiple kids or date somebody, or you have a baby by somebody or have multiple kids, you're then trying to like vie for that time. Like, you're trying to, okay, I want you to come see my baby. You're trying to like strong arm somebody into being there. I don't do none of that no more. You're gonna be around, great. You're not, okay too. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have the energy to try to make you see or to make you do or to be arguing with you. So I'm just tunnel vision. You want to see her? Great. We could talk about that. If you don't, great. We don't have nothing to talk about, but it just depends on the people who are involved. And I've just learned to choose me and choose my peace. Like that's the level that I'm on. I don't have time for those shenanigans. I really don't.
Right.
And the interesting part is when you have children with multiple people, it's going to be difficult to have this balance with financial and social.
Yeah.
You know
And
what? That was look at you. You need to start reading my mind because I was just finna
And so,
say
how
something
do you
about the
want to
balancing of
date
it.
when you're
Yeah,
still struggling balancing financial and social? I cost.
yeah.
Yes.
I am out of the country. I have been out of the United States now for almost 3 months now, and I will be gone another 3 months because I'm heading to Africa here in just a couple of days. Like I should have been there already, but I'm not cheap, and so
Yes.
I will support you. I will lift you up. I was like I had to like I'm here for them. I was rolling with them. But I can't roll when you throwing sister under the bus every chance you get and you
You
take it.
know,
Like
and
I
I
can't do that.
understand where you're coming from. And
Mhm.
well, let me read this from my wife first. She says, "With all hope, we all hope that we have picked a decent partner whenever we get into a
Oh,
relationship." Ain't that right, baby?
we
I'm
no, but
so
hold on.
glad that I
We
picked you.
do, but we said this earlier in the conversation when Miss K is talking about picking. We are picking from this place of childhood trauma, this unhealed
Yes.
childhood trauma, which is causing us to repeat patterns and
Yes.
cycles in our family line that we're just not aware of. And I heard Miss K say, I've now that she's gotten a relationship with her father, now she's going through some things, she's now looking at it differently.
Yeah.
And I believe a lot of men who grow up fatherless and they hate their fathers and then they experience this, they're like, oh, this is what dad went. And some of them can embrace the idea that
Mhm.
that happened and then reach out and forgive. And others will still sit in their hate and frustration out of loyalty to mama.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that's where I'm sitting at with my son, where because he has a son now, and his thing was monetary value. I didn't have monetary value like he wanted monetary value, but I had love and that presence. I was at the I wasn't at every game, but I was at most games. And so I was there definitely when he became like early teen and when I got custody of him because at first I was battling his mom before she passed. She had left and his grandma bogart me into signing my rights over to her temporarily and almost got locked up after she said that I can get him from daycare. But when I got him, called the police on me and said that I kidnapped him and there's a whole bunch of stuff. So it was like, and that's what hurt me so bad about the whole situation that because I didn't have that monetary that he wanted,
Mhm.
he categorized me as not being a great dad. Or not even saying great, because I don't even think people can become great when they're a parent, but even remotely a good dad. So it's almost like he can't see me. If he sees me like that, it's gonna bother him to a certain degree. I'm not sure why, but Ms. Whitney says that having have you seen a lot of women also cause hell for a man in hopes that he will come back to her just to stop the chaos? She's basically throwing a tantrum, hoping to get her way. I can see that sometimes. Miss Brandy says sometimes a lot of bow the baby mama acts is what the other parent father saying and doing to and or with her. Kind of lost on that one. He could still be telling her something and telling you something
Oh,
different.
that's for sure.
Probably acting. Yeah, he's acting one way
Yeah.
with her and another way.
Oh, okay, got you, got you, got you, got you, got you,
Absolutely.
got you.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of men
Okay,
will they have their girlfriends or their wives or fiancés, and then they got their baby mama and they telling them two different things. I've been through that. Fortunately, I've grown to see, like your wife is saying, seeing through the red flags. And a lot of times we do ignore the red flags. But what I believe and what I tell, young ladies is that I felt when I was in my dating situation with him, I felt that it was wrong, but I couldn't like materialize. Like, I didn't have the words for what I was experiencing, and I was like, I feel like this is wrong, but I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna just go with it because I hope that it turns into something good. So a lot of times we do see or feel that things are off, but we don't trust ourselves enough to say like, okay, this is off. I'm gonna leave this. We just kind of keep going with it, and then we find ourselves in situations that we really don't need to be in, and then now you got kids involved in the
Right.
situation, so now you stuck with this person in your life, forever. And I think I've been telling a lot of people, when you think about sex and like intimacy, a lot of people just leave it as like, this feels good to me, and
Mm.
that's why I'm doing it. But it's so much more than that. You're actually bonding with this person, and you're putting yourself in a position to reproduce with this person.
Yeah.
We don't think about the reproduction part a lot. A lot
Right.
of people don't even think about the bonding part, especially if you're not trying to have
Oh,
a
they
relationship.
they
It's just like,
say
oh, this feels
sex
good.
is emotionless, and you
Yeah,
can
they
have
say this
sex
feels
without
good to
emotion.
me. I'm getting pleasure. You're pleasuring
Yeah.
me. I'm pleasuring you, and that's it. But it's three. I think it's a three-part thing: pleasure, bonding, reproduction. We'll take the bonding sometimes with the
Yeah.
pleasure, but then when we get to that baby part, it's like, oh, you know. And a lot of men, will say, well, I didn't want the baby. I told her I didn't want a baby. So what did you do to prevent the reproduction
Nothing.
part? Because it's on both of y'all. You can't
Nothing.
just put it on her. So I try to have equal smoke for both
Yeah.
parties. Not just for the women. I got smoke for the men too. Smoke for everybody.
So
Miss
smoke.
Evelyn says some women pick potential over who the man actually is. Picking a good partner is only a good choice if it's really uh
Who the person is.
who the person is. Okay, thank you. Not just who she hopes he will be.
Hmm.
Wifey says a lot. If a lot of us try so hard not to be like the parent that hurt or bothered us the most as kids, and still end up embodying those negative behaviors. Stop talking about me, baby. Um,
That's true.
and that's like the thing. That's why I find myself. Um, and I tell a lot of people that are fatherless, as in like physically, appearance, never saw their dad. I feel like I had it worse because my dad was there and he wasn't there. Like, I saw him, I can touch him, but I couldn't touch him.
Yeah.
He wasn't there presently, and I tried my best to create families that I wanted it. And because a lot of people throughout my kid bearing days, um, do you know how you have kids? Why you got so many kids? I'm like, yeah,
Oh,
but but no one really never tried to understand uh my point of view, regardless of how wrong and dangerous kids are emotionally. Um, I never once wanted to leave the people that I had kids with. Um, I just chose wrongly, and I tried to stay. And majority of the time, they left on me. But once I realized that situations were toxic, due to myself and health and wanting to still be a good dad, I had to leave out of that situation. Um, I've never wanted or thought I would be in a situation where I would have multiple mothers. And guys, you really don't understand when you're recklessly laying down with someone and you're playing with their emotions, and you're leaving behind your seed to pregnate someone, and later on you just push it off as if it was nothing. And but or if you find yourself back in your child's life, and definitely if they're a girl, which we definitely need to even raise our men, our boys, to be respectful men. How we're trying to cover our daughters from men like ourselves sometimes. Um, think about that. And I think a lot of men do come face to face with, dang, I was a hoe. And I don't want nobody hoeing my daughter. So let me stop what I'm doing and try and be a more productive and positive, point of view for my daughter. Um, we hit the end part, but me and my wife are of changing the narratives. Can we change this? How can we try our best to put our best foot forward on not making this as dangerous as it is, guys?
Mm.
The key phrase is healing. I mean, I've heard us say constantly, we chose wrong, we chose wrong, we picked wrong, we picked wrong, pick better. Um, I want to refute that and say you chose a pattern.
Mhm.
Ooh,
It was the pattern you knew.
ooh,
And so in choosing the pattern that you knew, that goes back to unhealed trauma.
right.
And we have to be willing to look back into our family stuff
Mm,
and talk to our parents to know how we got there before we get there in order to really move forward and choose better, to
Yeah.
choose the right thing. And that means that parents have to be honest with their children. They have to be
oh,
honest about how I got here in this world, the relationship between the father. Meeting my father at 31 years old, we never discussed Tori and her daddy. I had a daddy, and then I didn't have a daddy, and then another daddy showed up one day, and it was like, that don't look like the other daddy. Just telling this real quick. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not the picture I have, and I'm confused. And then it was like, child, I'm 18. Y'all go and deal with that drama. And by the time I'm 30, I'm like, I need to know who this person is, right?
right,
For me,
right,
so that I can choose
right,
correct. Like I want to choose purpose, right, over the pleasure and the all. Because I feel like if purpose is in there, I'll get what I'm supposed to get.
Yeah.
right,
And we have to stop the idea that I think we're choosing wrong. We have to understand that we're choosing a pattern. We're
Hmm.
choosing a pattern straight out of the house because it's coming from our trauma. And even what no, love your wife. Like I don't email. But I even want the idea of red flags. We all walk around with red flags, man. So I don't want to. I don't even want to look at a person and be like, "Oh, he got red flags." No, I look at it as, okay, let me see your red flags and let me see if I have the tools to help you navigate that in some way, because that's what a relationship is. I married
right.
my.
We're supposed to grow together. We're saying
You're
it's
supposed to
possible that
help.
we can heal together.
Yeah, you're supposed to heal. Like your presence in their lives is healing them of this stuff. So I know we don't want to build a bear. We don't want to child. That is not real. Like if he is all put together, girlfriends, he married. Like if some woman been doing the work. Okay. Yeah. So no, it's we're all build a bears at a certain point. Relationships are healing. When you
Right.
find a safe relationship, that person will know your stuff and help you heal. So I want to kind of push back on those two things and just stop. We need to heal so we don't choose the pattern. And we need to recognize that we all have red flags and just look and see if that person, if I got the tools to help them navigate that.
I agree. I think when I think about healing, I think it should be a multi-layered process because for me that's something that I've been working on heavily in this year. So as I seek my healing and learning how to love myself, then I give myself the tools to be able to teach my daughter, and then she has the tools to be able to teach her kids when she has them. So I think that's how we stop it because
Good.
a healing journey is both an individual and a community thing, because once you learn how to heal, then you'll be so excited and on fire that you'll want to share with other people, and you'll want to like go to your family. So one of the things I've been doing, and I'm trying to get my daughter on board with this, is I journaled from the time I was 6 through now, so I was able to go back and read all my journals, so I had my perspective and my thoughts from that
Right.
time. So I haven't had to spend a lot of time talking to my parents about what was going on. on. And I have before in the past, but I have my thoughts at 6 years old, 7, 8, 9, 10 about what I was experiencing and, what I was writing and what I wasn't writing. So I'm able to kind of take that and holistically look at it. And so as I'm
That's
navigating the patterns, as she talked about, because a lot of us, you know, okay, you were born and your dad wasn't there, and that created a pattern in you to maybe think that men don't show up for you, to maybe think that men don't love you and men can't
Right.
be there for you. So out of those patterns and from your unhealed self, then yes, you choose to look past red flags because you've developed this pattern from childhood that says men abandon, men don't love, men do this, men do that. And so you keep going down this rabbit hole of choosing the same type of dude or the same type of woman because of the patterns that you have in your life. So, you have to individually break it, and then as a community teach the others around you, including your kids, and that's how the cycle ends. So a collective effort, I think, can happen, but we got to start with us first and figure out what's going on in our spirits so that we can be a catalyst for other people.
Well, I like that. I think all of us were on the same frequency. I'm gonna say these last couple of com- re- re- comments and end off with pretty much agreeing with you guys. Wifey says heal and move forward. She also agreed. Ms. Brandy said, I believe therapy from past trauma issues that we have never faced our children. Wifey also stated counseling should be a requirement of every person that is of age to be able to develop a relationship. It is essential to make solid choices that don't cause so much pain. Um, Pain from making what we say or feel is a bad choice.
Mhm.
Ms. Whitney says, to an extreme, women take on men that try to fix. They try to fix because they want relationships more than they actually care for the man. It's good for women to avoid projects, but they take extreme is to remove the fact that people grow in relationships. Um, I want to end on just pretty much expressing you guys are so right because that's where I found myself. It wasn't until I divorced or separated myself before divorcing my ex-wife and coming back home and having to stay with my parents. I was faced with the reasons why as a child I ran away. I was faced with the reason why I end up being in that cycle of choosing wrongly, because it was a pattern. It was. And it wasn't until I went on my healing journey. Guys, yes, you can go on a healing journey.
Mhm.
It's not something weak. You should. It's funny that I at least thought that the I sent this out to a few men. I wanted to try and get some in on to for their perspective, but I know this is sometimes is a hit or miss subject. And but I had to face my dad. I came to the point of it was time for me to face my dad and express to him all the hurt and all the pain, but as well, hear his point of view and see where he comes from. But I didn't get that because my dad is still a hurt little boy in a grown man's body that doesn't want to face that. And so I had to come to terms with possibly never getting to know my dad the way that I want to because he doesn't want to face whatever happened to him. And I just have to love him at a distance because, again, definitely with my illness, with MS, stress is a bad situation for me. And I just really saw myself holding on to why you just couldn't love me. And it really didn't have anything about him not wanting to love me. He just didn't know how.
Yeah.
And once I realized that and understood, for whatever reason it was, he can't go back and visit that. It started me healing. And that's when I found my wife. And we find triggers and in everyday things. It can be something just off the wall that makes us realize, oh crap, that's a trigger. And we're healing with each other. I'm not trying to fix her and she's not trying to fix me. So I also add um with what she was stating with guys, pay attention, get some healing, like everyone is saying, before we find ourselves in relationships only for sexual pleasure. And it's a lot of men out here quoting and saying that, okay, we have sex because we're trying to procreate. But when you procreate, you're nowhere to be found. So stop using it as an excuse to get in someone's pants. But with that being said, guys, I was waiting for this tonight. I was on pins and needles because I was hoping everybody would make it. I don't know. I more than anything, definitely in the black community, and in the world in general, I want people to heal, and I know this is the purpose that God has put me in, and bringing that avenue to any and everybody that wants to be a part of that. And so I appreciate you guys coming on tonight. Um, and I would like for you to just leave with where everyone can find you if they want to reach out to you. Definitely you, Dr. Torri, um, because I might have to come your way too with my situation.
Oh wow.
Right.
Um, that's funny. Not to say that I can't help you or won't help you. I'm just like he threw that he shot his shot on getting some help.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Indeed. Indeed.
it threw,
I need help.
threw me for a loop there. I am tfgf.org is our website for the foundation. I do coaching for fathers and fatherless adults to help them heal. So that's beyondfatherless.com. And then on social media, IG, you can find me at I am Torri with two R's, Torri J. I am Torri J.
Also putting her LinkedIn in the thing there. So and Miss K, what about you?
You can find me at www.kianadaniels.com, and I am on TikTok, Kiana underscore DEE, and Instagram, author Kiana Daniels.
Girl, I didn't know you had a website.
Yes, I do
I'm
have
sitting up here.
a website.
What?
I
Oh
do. I just
no.
revamped it too.
Yeah.
Put that back out for me again.
TikTok, I was like, "Child, I can't keep up with TikTok.
I love
That's how I
TikTok.
met y'all, but TikTok can get real toxic real fast.
Tell me
And I
about it.
have too much going on to be, look, I
It is
can't
a
do
lot.
that. I can't.
What was the website again so I can put it in
Sure. www.kiana, Kiana, Daniels, Daniels.com.
shut your mouth. Look at you.
There I
I tell you, y'all doing some big things in little China around here.
am. Thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
for putting that on beyondfatherless.com in there for me. Look at you. Look at your
Nice
wife who
on.
just helped you out hit these streets.
I'm gonna get it. I love that.
Um, I definitely would love to have you guys on again on multiple projects. Feel free to go back and look at the list again. And be open, have your stuff open for other seasons as well. Cause I have it was scary at first when God gave me this because I come from a family that didn't see some of the stuff that I felt God put in my lap at an early age, and I just should have been factory or something because I had multiple kids. And so now that I am living in what God has always placed in front of me, I have a better relief. Um, Not as stressed because I'm not living a lie. And I'm actually being able to work and do what I love doing and also make money doing that. So I really do appreciate you guys. And thank you for coming on. And not to keep Miss K and Doc on since it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
It's
And
3 now, huh?
oh Lord, let me get her
I
off
got
this
you.
thing.
I just came back from Europe. I hear you.
Yeah. And it's going, and then I'm
Off
about to jump
this
7 hours ahead. So
Oof,
yeah.
yes. Thank you so much. I hope you guys
great
have a good night.
night. And I thank you again. And if you happen to be on any other titles, it's still the same. I'll send a link out the day prior for you all. Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
You too. Y'all have a good one.